What's that face, Druid? That's your
No,
goblin.
that's just
That's your goblin face. Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to another episode of Bandwidth and Banter. I am your host, Stormy D, and that lovely lady is
Druid IRL.
yeah, my co-host, Druid IRL. Druid, I'm going to let you run with the rest of the intro tonight. Please take the ball away.
I never do it. We're doing stuff and things. Last time we had on Set the Hex.
Yes, that was awesome. Set the Hex returns.
Awesome.
He's an amazing human being, and one of the few people who has a hair that's more epic than mine.
True. Amazing hair.
Yeah,
But
he
today,
takes incredible care of it. I need to take lessons from him on how well he takes care of his hair.
I think you do great, Stormy. I saw those beautiful silvery locks in person. I think you do a great job.
Thank you. I'm sure you realized in person that they're more white than they are silver. It's good lighting in camera.
I mean, it's great. But today, we have on OldManGeras, who is amazing, and
I can't wait.
love him. So bring him on.
Yes, we're going to bring him on, right? No waiting anymore. We can't wait anymore. It's been too long, man. We've had him on the list for months. OldManGeras is back again for his return interview, and it's been too long. Hello, sir.
Well, hello, everyone. How are you?
Doing great. Way better now that you're here.
And I love how Stormy had you do the intro and just totally throw you off. See, that's the great thing about Stormy. You never know what he's going to do. Just when you think you're like, no, I know exactly how it's going to go. He's like, no, you know what? Let's roll the dice. You do it.
Yeah, every once in a while he does that to me, and I'm like, all right, well, this is awkward. I have a prepared speech for this.
Well, those are the best ones when they just come naturally and just flow from inside.
Mm-hmm.
True.
100% true. Yep. I just wanted to reiterate, guys, in the link below, in the title, go check out OldManGeras. He's one of our favorite human beings. We've got to have him on the show before. We've got to role play with him in his Alien TTRPG. And he and I feel like we would have been brothers or best friends if we'd known each other when we were kids.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
It's just Stormy, we spent 20 minutes just now talking and we find more and more in common. Every time we talk, it's like, oh, do you remember this? And how about that? And we can spend, I feel like we can just spend hours continuing that conversation.
Hell yeah.
And I get to sit there and go, I'm here. Look at me.
Little druid goblin fly on the wall.
Druid, we still need to get you to start watching some movies, which means free time, right? And that might be a little tough to try to get, but we'll get you there little by little.
Little by little, there was a period of time we had almost regularly every Friday morning. We had like a little watch party, and they were trying to get me through Delicious in Dungeon, which is an anime.
Yeah, and
so I feel like that was like the entry point for people to go, all right, so now we're gonna watch this together. So it'll happen. They're gonna bully me.
Yeah, I think that the most difficult thing is just that a length of time of a movie is going to be hard for that one to sit still.
Yeah. Without having something like a secondary thing. I don't know. Or I just eat way too much food because like I have to occupy my hands anyways.
No, that part's okay. It's the sitting down for a lot of the classic movies used to be around 90 minutes long. Nowadays, they start at about 2 hours to 2.5 hours.
Yep.
I don't know if you could do that.
No.
Right, with no caffeine. I mean, you'd have to starve yourself to death because you can't have caffeine beforehand. So why even bother living at that point if you can't have coffee? And then be able to sit there for the movie and then talk about it. That's hard.
Couldn't even fathom.
He understands her so well.
I know priorities. I know her priorities.
True. As are all true. What's new? Tell us what's new in your world, OldManGeras. What's new?
Well, I just started restreaming a couple of weeks ago. I had taken a break, and life it kicks you completely in the teeth every chance it gets. So I'm just getting back into it, getting back to streaming, and giving myself some goals for the year and some challenges. But you know what? Just rolling with it as much as I can. That's all you can do.
Yeah,
100%.
For sure.
One slight echo.
There's a slight echo. Okay.
Silverwolf says there's a slight echo. Hold on. Sorry. Pause.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. It's probably, is it from Druid or from OldManGeras? Okay, let me
let me put the other earbud. Maybe the mic is picking up that earbud.
No, it's,
how about now?
Yeah, my mic picking you up. I think that probably will have nailed it down. So thank you for the feedback.
Well, both earbuds are in, so we should be good to go.
Yeah. For me, it's I have a delicate balance between, I'm not using earbuds, I'm using actual speakers. And so I have to get it low enough that my mic, my lapel mic isn't picking it up, yet I can still hear it. So yes, exactly. Nice Insomnia Night. Garrus is so epic, he has his own reverb. That's true.
He is. He's the best. Big fan. I'm a big fan of Garrus.
So, yeah. Next question then. OldManGeras, what has been the highlight of this last year and/or your biggest success story?
Ooh, highlight of this last year. Well, actually, as it comes to my life, the ability to relax, the highlight that I've had has actually been able to find time to play D&D. And Insomnia Night, actually, that guy in chat, Mr. He's got his own reverb, was kind enough to bring me in and put up with me in a couple of his campaigns. And that, honestly, that was one of my highlights that I had, because I used them as an out to take a break of the world, right? Work had me traveling a lot. I was over in Seattle. I've been more trips to Mexico City, Paris. Just a lot has been happening for work, which takes me away. And my time to unwind and forget about that has really been in playing just regular D&D, not worrying about, hey, is the map set up? Do I have the VTT going? Is everyone connected? What's the ping rates? Are the effects going? I got to sit back and relax as a player. And, it's one of those things, don't want to get so serious into it, but when life gets you down, it really works on you mentally, right? It's not just the physical aspect of drawing you down, but the mental constant pressure and constant, I got to get on this plane. I got to go here. I got to book this thing. Got to get to these meetings. And it's never going to stop. But to be able to say, you know what? Hey, it's Thursday night. It's almost 11 p.m. I got to get online because I'm going to go for the next 3 hours. I'm going to go play D&D. And I get to forget. There's that role playing, the fantasy role playing in that world, and become that character that you've created and just let go and have fun. Because, the next day or as soon as you're done, that phone's going to start going with your notifications from Teams, and you're going to have these phone calls you're going to get on and people asking for work. And that just continues. So to be able to step away and be a player. In the campaigns have been absolutely incredible. That's one of my highlights. The other one was I am creating my D&D world or I'm
Yep.
converting, which is really recreating because it's something I created for first edition D&D, and fifth is so different than what we had back then.
Mhm.
A lot of the mechanics, a lot of the mechanisms, the creatures aren't really there now. It's not really built. The game is not the same as it was before. And Stormy, this goes to what we were talking about, right? The uh, what we grew up with, and for D&D in particular, right? It's called Dungeons and Dragons, and you were in dungeons dealing with dragons and kobolds and evil bad things in there. And you had a role play, and if you were playing a rogue, you had to be sneaky because everything was trapped, right? Nobody's going to leave all this gold lying around and magic weapons for anybody to take. It's got to be hard for you to get it. No risk, no reward. Nowadays it's I'm going to go and I'm going to hex that creature over there, and then I'm going to go and I'm just going to blast it away. And hey, yeah, I killed it because I rolled a 20 and it's crit and it does uber damage. And all right, give me the rewards. So it's not something that we grew up with. Over there,
Yeah.
it was, hey, there's an opening there. I'm not going in that door first. Do you have a pole? Let's make sure there's no tripwires. Let's tap the floor and make sure that it's not going to collapse under us or the stones aren't going to fall and crush us underneath at every step you took. And so I've taken what I built for first edition, and I'm converting it over. And I mentioned this, I think, the last time I was on here, right? It's actually based in our real world. So I've taken, I'm from Puerto Rico, and I've taken the story of Puerto Rico from when the Spanish came in and conquered the people who lived there, the Taino, and subjugated them, what they did to it, except I've made it into the fantasy world. So we have, the orcs that I've taken, again, this is first edition, what typically are the bad races that are there. So you have your orcs, you have your dark elves, you've got your hobgoblins, these are typically the ones that would be there to conquer and to subjugate. Versus the good ones, your elves and your pixies. And these are the one, your elementals that are out there. And then bringing in the deities from the island and the history of the island and using that to help drive it. And so the campaign is more, there's a lot of role playing in it because I wanted to have stories stories from the island.
Sure.
Of myths and legends and make it part of that. And so I'm doing that. I'm converting that over or rewriting entire sections of it. And I give the players a choice. I'm going down the wrong way, aren't I?
No,
that's all right.
I don't care.
I just want to jump in and say that is a fantastic success story that you've made such progress with that. And it's a fantastic highlight of this last year.
It's
incredible.
It's hard because, and again, for those who have played first ed, so much is different now. Fifth edition, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but fifth edition is about, hey, let's go from point A to point B as fast as possible, and we can kill everything on the way there. So very easy to get through combat, right? There's not a lot of I'm going to use the word strategery, right? Strategic planning that you have on it that you need. And there's few DMs that bring that in. But the modules that are pre-written and published out there are just not meant for that. So trying to add that back and add those mechanisms in place has been a struggle. There have been parts that I've just thrown away and say, this just doesn't work. I have to redo this based on fifth edition.
On that note, let's segue that into our next question. Druid?
What has been your biggest struggle this last year?
Life.
Yeah.
Life and depression. I will put it that way. I mentioned some of the things that are going through my life right now, as in like today, right? And
Yeah.
this week, and what you have to deal with. And it's, how do you balance that? How do you deal with that? I am not a fan of, Western medicine. Hey, take a pill. It'll cure everything for you. Oh, okay, sure it will, by hiding it, right? And not actually dealing with it. So I think the struggle has really been, and that's why I took a break, but dealing with that depression and that mental fugue, that fog that gets in there, and the motivation to go and say, I'm telling you as someone who has done this, I've sat right here and I've had OBS open in front of me and I've had the game running and I'm like, no, exit. I can't hit that go live button. And it's that mental, your mind is so powerful. You don't even realize sometimes what it's doing to you and the chemicals that it's releasing in your body and how it's impacting you. But you'll always find that excuse of, you know what? It's after my normal start time. Real excuses that I know I've thought of. It's past my real start time. Nobody's going to be on, or it's too early. Normally I start at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's 7:30. Why even get on? Nobody's going to be on that would normally get there. No, I'll just do something later, maybe, right? And then you get caught up in something, or worse, I'm just going to lie down and take a nap. And
Wow, I feel that, like, literally.
Right? It's 8, 10, 12 hours now. You're like, I'm just going to lie down for a couple of hours right now. I'm physically drained. I'm mentally and emotionally drained. That honestly has been the struggle. And it's been hard. For me, myself, my way of dealing with that is, and this is not, I'm going to say something that nowadays you're not supposed to say, but people will know what this means, which is funny because as men, we're told, well, you know what? If something's bothering you or something's wrong, just bury it. Just push it down inside and push through it, right? Walk it off. That's what we're taught as men. We're taught that as children.
Water off a duck's back. Water off a duck's back. Why would you even worry? Water off a duck's back.
Right. And I'm dealing with it now with what's happening in my life. This happened to me on Monday. And is it okay if I say, are you guys okay with it? Because I know this is a little dark topic.
It's up to you.
No,
this is
is about us. Okay.
Yeah.
This is about us.
I'm comfortable if you are.
Okay. So this past Monday, my father passed away. And I was there with him. I just spent the last 10 days in Puerto Rico with my father, and he passed away in front of me at a hospital. And I broke down for about 5 minutes. And then I said, okay, we're done. Let's go. And I took it and I did what I was taught by my father, who was taught by his father. And that is, you push it down. You push it down as deep as you can. And then you get to business and do what needs to happen, which was calling his sister, calling all my family, letting them know that it happened, signing papers at the hospital, talking to his wife and making sure that she's okay and helping her with what needs to happen, getting the funeral home, going through this process. And that's not healthy. And I know that's not healthy. I'm telling you as someone who is in it right now.
Yeah.
Because it's never been dealt with. Right. And it's going to come out at the absolute worst time. There's something that's going to come out unexpected. And it happens to all of us. Every male was told, walk it off, right? You hear that right in sports. You get hurt, go ahead, walk it off. You'll be all right. Get back in the game. But that's what we're taught. And so we have that in us, and learning to deal with it is tough. This weekend, starting after we stream here, I anticipate I'm going to break down. And I'm okay with that. I'm not ashamed to say that. Some people would be, because we're told, right, as a guy, you should never cry. You should never. It's going to happen because I've buried myself in work. I went back to work Tuesday. I was on the phone with work, even as I was flying back from San Juan. I was on the phone. I was dealing with my client. I've been on work all week. I don't have that this weekend. I don't have work. All I have to do is clean my apartment, do some grocery shopping. And I know tonight, after we're done here, it's going to hit me. He's no longer with me. And you can see that I'm saying this. There's nothing in my voice that's saying, holy cow, Garris is about to break, because I'm not, but I will tonight. And I probably will tomorrow. And I know I have to let it happen. That's the struggle, because I'm going to fight it. My instincts are going to be, as soon as I start feeling that building up, and you can feel it from your chest, right? And the tightness of your throat, and and you're taking the deep breaths, like I can push this down. You can feel when your body's about to let it go. And we're taught, again, just fight it, keep it down there. You don't have to deal with it. And I'm going to let myself deal with it. I have to fight against myself to let it. And that's the struggle. And that's right. I'm talking about my experience, but that's a struggle that we're all going through. And how we deal with it. So I know we're going dark, and I apologize, friends. I really do.
No.
But when we talk about the big struggle, these are topics a lot of people don't talk, and that's why I love you guys for this, because we can talk about things that that affect us all. But it's life. That's my biggest struggle this year. Right. And he was young, 79 years old. My mother is 89. And I cannot tell her, right? They were divorced, but she never remarried. The first true love, that whole love story around that. And at her age, I have to make sure, and I have to protect her, right? So I've spoken to everyone in every side of the family, and I've threatened people. If you say a word of this to her and something happens to her, this will be the last time you will ever speak to anyone in the family, because I'm the patriarch now.
Yeah.
And this is not right. And it's setting those boundaries. And I know I have to tell her, but it's at the right time when I'm sitting with her to have that conversation, because she's going to need that support.
Yeah.
Right now I'm 1,100 miles away from her. I can't just do a FaceTime and have that conversation, because then I'm going to hang up and she's by herself.
Yeah.
So that part of life, right? Dealing with that's been the struggle. That's been the largest struggle. And in my life, that's probably the biggest struggle. I've had to do this once before. This is the second time in my life I've had to be that person to do this, to inform the party members, to take care of the hospital. So it's dealing with that. And because I never dealt with it when it happened, and it was with my grandmother who raised me, which is a typical Spanish thing. Our grandmothers are the ones who usually bring it, because the parents are out working. Like, you can't survive on one paycheck in our country ever. You've been able to do that. Who knew? But it's the and so dealing with it with my father brings back the memories of 28 years ago, when I had to go through the same thing, when I sat by her side as she took her last breath, and I went through that. And I had to make the phone call to the nurses station. We were in a hospice at that point, because we knew, right, I had to sign papers because there was a DNR on her, and just that entire process, and then informing people. So hey, you know what? There's life. Let's move on, right? Because this is part of life. It's just like seeing someone be given birth, right? Their life just started, but life is going to end.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to deal with both.
I completely agree. I have to say, like, the fact, like, we don't talk about death and loss enough openly.
Yeah.
And I think it's like people like to pretend like that's not a thing. And like, I grew up with my Nana talking very openly, like one day I'm going to die and blah, blah, blah. And, most people don't talk about that. And I think it is really because literally every single person is going to go through that. And I do think that talking about it is super important.
Agreed.
So,
It is, and it's talking about how to deal with it.
yeah.
Right? Like I've got 3 daughters, and I had to break the news to them and how they dealt with it and be able to support them. Now, I had to call them while I was, again, in Puerto Rico. I have 2 that are in Ohio and 1 that is in the Carolinas. So these are separate conversations, and being able to give them the support, even though I'm not there. But that support is the hard part, because while we may talk about how do we deal with it if it happens to us, to our parents, right? Because it's always about the parents. We never talk about how do we support our siblings. I have a sister, or a half sister. Well, she's my sister.
Yeah.
That right. I didn't grow up with, but she and I bonded, and he was able to see us together for the first time in any of our lives. The 3 of us were together for any amount of time. And he saw that almost every day that I was down there. So for 10 days, he got to see his son and daughter with him talking. And we talked, in case my background doesn't give it, we talked Star Trek because Star Trek was his love. He loved science fiction. He took me to see Star Wars on opening weekend when it came out because he saw it opening night. He fell in love. He came and picked me up, took me down to New York just to see it with him. Right. And Star Wars and Star Trek and science fiction overall, he loved it. And it was that whole, it's the promise of the unknown.
Yeah.
And what can be, right? Not just what it is here on Earth that we know, but we don't know what's out there. It's completely, I hate to say, I'm going to take this from Star Trek, but it's the undiscovered country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is brand new.
That sense of exploration.
On that note, this is actually a perfect segue into our next question, because I just noticed sort of a paradox in that, for many people, their greatest fear, since we've been talking about people not talking about death, right? A lot of time it's because for many people, not all people, but for many people, their greatest fear is death. And what's ironic is, in a way, that too, even death itself is the great unknown, right? That's why people are afraid of it. Yet we can also be excited by exploration of space and exploration of space, of things, of ideas, and it's an interesting paradox that we're afraid of some unknowns, but crave others. On that note, what would you say your greatest fear is?
What is my greatest fear? Strangely enough, I is that, yeah, I think it's safe to say my greatest fear is to to not do something that I could and should do. Inaction. There's the word. That's the right word. I am afraid of choosing not to do something because of whatever reason, but making a choice that, I could do that. Eh, why bother? Maybe I'll procrastinate and I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll let somebody else do it. And then that action, not having done that, cause a not a disaster, but cause negative effects to happen to someone. I don't care about things. Things can be replaced. Sure. Lives can't be replaced.
Right.
And so not doing something or not doing something that I guess causes bodily harm, or even it's not just bodily, but mental, any kind of harm to a person,
Yeah.
because I chose not to do something and I could have. That that's my driving fear. And so you'll see, and I talked about it, what I've been doing this past week. I always keep myself going and doing stuff, even if it's not work related, if it's
Mhm.
related to a church or a club or an event that's happening. I'm going to go do it, and it's almost the helping your fellow man,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and creature, because I see all life as something special. I love animals. Um, so, I see that in some cases they need our help more than humans do,
Mhm.
because humans should be self-sufficient and be able, right? We have some higher intelligence, allegedly, that we should be able to survive with and do things where an animal, a pet, a dog, a cat, a fish, whatever it is, a bird, right? They're they're limited to what we've done to them,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And so I'm afraid if I don't do something
Yeah.
and something bad, it happens because of that. That inaction for me, and that's what honestly it drives me. I sleep about 3.5 to 4 hours a night. That's it. And it's because I'm like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I should call this person. I should send this email. Oh, let me go and work on this, and let me go and help this person. Oh, they're going to be here on Monday. They're going to be doing that. And it's not that my brain doesn't shut off. I can. It's there are things that I can do because of my life experiences and what I've encountered that can help other people.
Gotcha.
For a number of years, I ran a club for children through my church. So think of it like Boy Scouts,
Yeah.
Girl Scouts, and it was two different groups, one for ages 5 through 9, and then 10 through 16. And I ran these two clubs for them, and we had for the younger kids, we had over a dozen kids on it. For the older ones, we had about 8 on average per year on it. And I was like, here's something that I can do that will hopefully positively impact throughout their life. And you don't get that opportunity often. Teachers struggle now because teachers have to go and teach to a test, because that's what each state requires them to do. It's not giving them practical knowledge and how to actually live in our world or in our country, but instead it's okay, we're going to be taking this test in 3 months, so we got to pass it, or the school's not going to get money from the state. So let's go and teach you that so that you can pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. My nana was a school teacher. I heard a lot of. I went to a lot of teacher parties. Man, I tell you what, them crazy people are very mad about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's gotten worse. It over the last uh, 12, 8, 18, 20 years, it's just gotten worse and worse because our country, our Department of Education bases everything off of standardized test scores.
Mm,
Right? Oh, you're going to
mhm.
get in college? What's your SAT, ACT scores? Why? That just means you're book smart. You're not life smart. And that's because we don't teach that. We used to, Stormy, when we went to school, there was woodshop class, there was home ec, right? There was accounting. We learned how to balance a checkbook.
Yeah.
We knew how to
Don't
fix
even
our
ask me.
cars.
Don't even
Yeah,
ask me. Don't even
they
ask
don't
me.
teach that now.
No idea. No idea.
But
Yeah.
it's
You're
not
100%
there now.
right.
So
Um,
our youth are growing up with that basic knowledge. They know how to use an ATM card. They know how to use the heck out of TikTok and every app on their phone. Give them that checkbook. Tell them how to balance it, how to come up with a budget for the year or for the week or for the
There's
month
an
or
app
between
for that.
paychecks.
There's an app for that, Garrus.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sure
It'll
there is. There's
calculate it
plenty of
for
that.
me. I just have to punch in
It,
a bunch of fun numbers and it tells me.
it goes back to that joke. Well, how could I run out of money? I still have checks. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, that's our federal government. Never mind. I guess I shouldn't talk about that.
That's funny. We can move on to the next question, though, Druid.
OldManGeras, what do you value most in a friendship?
That's an easy one. Honesty.
Mm,
Hands down.
yeah.
We're going to be friends. Great. I'll be friends with almost everybody out there. Just be honest. That's all I ask. That's all. I'm going to give it to you. I want it back.
Mhm.
If we can meet that requirement, yeah, we're going to get along just great. Even if we don't see eye to eye on anything, but we're being honest. Don't hide stuff. Don't act a certain way when you're around me and different when you're around somebody else. Just be you. Be honest to yourself and to me and those around you. We'll get along perfectly.
Agreed, 100%.
How about for you guys? What are yours? Because see, this is an interesting question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this kind of talks a little bit about what makes us and what drives us to have the friends that we have, the relationships that we have, right? All three of us are in relationships. And that relationship is built on what we value.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have a relationship, a good relationship with someone if you have different values. It's not going to work. So tell me about you guys. I'm going to turn this one on you.
You want to go
Drew's
first?
ready to go. Druid, I'm going to go with you because I know I'm waiting for stories. But Druid, what do you value most?
Honesty and communication, which I'm really bad at doing over text and stuff. But when I'm like face to face and we're communicating about something, I'll ask questions about like how are you how do you expect this conversation to go? What are your I need to know like what the expectations of the conversation is. I need to know like I'll ask like what does a definition of a word mean to you so I have a clearer understanding of what that means. And Fate and I will sit there, we'll have a 30-minute conversation about the conversation we're about to have. So then we can have a clear conversation about what we're talking about. Because my expectations, my thoughts, and like the way my brain works is like I am not gonna understand half the things you tell me because I'm just gonna be too worried about what the things you're saying, how is it different to you than it is to me. So honesty and communication.
Those are all great ones and all true and all necessary. And for me, I would say all of the things that you guys said for sure. First one that came to mind for me was integrity. Like when you say you are going to do or say or be something or somewhere, that you follow through with that. And because I mean, and that kind of really goes hand in hand with what you said, Garris, honesty, because you can't really have integrity if you're not honest. So
it's true. And it's interesting because Druid, you said that communication and having the understanding of what the words are and what you're conveying. That's still about being honest, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? I'm going to tell you exactly what I mean. If I use this word, here's what it means. You're being honest. And that's one of the things, right? And again, in the world that we live in, that's something you don't see a lot of. And you hear excuses of, well, that's how business is done, or that's how we negotiate, but it's not honesty. And if it's not honesty, then it's a lie or manipulation. But there's no other way to look at it. You're either being honest or you're lying. There's no gray area between there. Well, stretching the truth. Oh, so you were telling a lie. Omission of fact is still a lie.
Yep.
Yeah. Yup.
Man, we're going like philosophically dark
A
here.
philosophical
I feel like
depth. I love it.
Here I was like,
Right?
yeah, we're just going to talk, games and
No,
best
no,
movies ever
no.
made.
We can
It
at
is a
the
doom
end.
of men that they forget, right? Quotes like that,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's the
yeah.
thing
So
about the round twos of Bandwidth and Banter. It's like this is a deeper conversation to dive into who you are as a person,
mhm.
and that's what it is.
I love and appreciate that you're willing to be raw and open with us, and I thank you so much.
Love it.
It go. You know what? This goes to that honesty, right?
Yes.
And I told this to the two of you when we were prepping for it. I value the time that we get to spend together so much.
Ditto.
And right, this is the type of communication, Druid, like you were saying, right?
Mhm.
Just being able to, let's make sure we know what we're talking about. Let's just talk it out and have that half hour before we have the talk to just make sure that
Mhm.
we're on the same page and we understand each other.
Mhm.
That's it. I
Yeah.
love talking with you guys.
We
That's why I'm
love
here.
talking to you.
Ditto.
You're the
Thank you.
best.
No, you both of you.
You're the
Um,
best, Garrus.
So switching gears a little bit, but still along this line of depth, name one thing that was harder this year than you thought it would be, and one thing that was easier.
One thing that was harder for me this year. So in this past year, let's see, we're in April, right? So April to April, or May, but April to April. I would say it's harder this year than I thought it would. I'm not going to use life because we already talked about that.
Okay.
So what would be my second hardest thing that I dealt with this year? I know. The loss of a friend,
Mm.
someone who I thought was, we were being honest and kind of building or rebuilding a relationship with, was really hard for me. I mean, it was on me. I was not. Oh, here we go. I was not being honest
Mm.
in the relationship, and it just fell apart between that. Because of that, which is what happens when you're not honest. One thing that was easier was reaching back out to that person and saying, "Hey, I screwed up." And it's weird, right? Because you wouldn't. That's not normally something that's easy. And I was brutally honest, and I was like, "Look, here's what I did. Here's what I said. Here's why." And it was a fear. And just having that come out in the open and having that communication with that person and agreeing that, okay, well, you know what? Let's slowly try to rebuild the trust was, wow, it's the same thing for both the hardest and what was easier because
Mhm.
it was I was honest and I screwed up. I know I screwed up. I told this person that I screwed up. I told her. And that opened the doors to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Man, this is
disagree.
all like tying back in.
I
I
know. I
know.
know.
There's been, parts of this that have been stuff that both Drew and I both have needed to hear today, and we really appreciate you.
Yes. I know. I know. I
Uh,
know. I cried when we talked about these, like when Stormy and I did. I cried that entire. Garrus, if you were to die and come back as a person or a thing, who or what would it be?
person or a thing, and who or what would it be? Okay, so I need to ask some clarifying questions.
Mhm.
Uh,
My favorite.
if it's a person, I assume this is someone that's living, not a historical
Not
person.
necessarily. It can be
Any
a
person you
historical
want.
figure from the past or from the present.
Figure from the past or the present.
And
or
it can be fictional too. Like it doesn't have to be a real person.
Just whatever your heart desires is.
Yeah.
If I could come back, what would be the man? My brain is going to like, okay, what's in Star Trek that brought peace to the world and united everyone together? And it was the attack by the Klingons that brought humanity together, right? It was the war with there was another race before the Klingons that happened and brought united together, but that's way too nerdy and geek.
No. No. I disagree, but that's not too. It
It would.
Whatever.
I mean, I'm trying to think. What would be? Well, humanity is very splintered, and we've always been like that. It's what helps us thrive, right? We grow. This is something that, as a race, we grow and we expand based on the hardships of our planet and what we do to each other. And right, we go through bad times and it's rough, and then we get better, and we've learned from that. And then we go right. It's kind of like we go down, we go back up, and then down, and then back up. And as long as we're on that upward trend of improving ourselves, but there's never been that unifying event, that one thing that says, okay, instead of all these different nations that still has the self-interest, what could bring us all together? I mean, even if you look at religion, right? Whichever religion you have and you believe in, they have this one figurehead that's there for them, but it still splinters everyone else that's out there, and it drives more chaos and pain in the name of religion. And I say this as a religious person, so I wouldn't go with that. Maybe a thing. Maybe a thing would be the best, but what would be it? You know what? Something that would provide cold fusion. Done. I would want to come back as cold fusion. Limitless energy, free energy for the entire planet, because that's what so many conflicts are about.
True.
The resources,
That's true.
the land, the damage that we're doing to ourselves and to the planet and to the animals and everything is because of our need to have and control energy.
That's the first time we've ever had such a philosophical and altruistic response. Usually, we get some interesting, historical or fictional character, or sometimes we get a really funny, interesting thing. We even had some comedic answers.
Stormy answers.
No. I'm embarrassed about that one, but it was funny.
It was so funny. It was good.
Yeah, as a joke answer, I have real answers, but as a joke answer, it occurred to me that it would be great to come back as the world's most popular vibrator.
I wouldn't mind coming back as a sloth, right? Get to sleep all day and move really slow. I do that right now, anyways. And well, maybe, but no. I mean, that was an interesting question.
Thank you.
Especially coming back as a person. Okay, that people have asked that before and on talk shows, but when you said or a thing, right? I'll be like, okay, well, what could unite humanity, right? And then cold fusion that literally leads to, okay, limitless energy. Now we can make ships to go to space, go to Mars, go to other planets without having to worry about, we have to have a nuclear reactor built into the ship, and that's going to take all of this because we need the shielding, and the shielding might give out, and you just eliminate so much of that.
Yep.
I'd be a bird, which is not a shock to anyone.
Which, by the way, I kind of miss Burb. I haven't seen Burb in a while.
She has a new stand.
Oh.
That is a desk stand, so she can now actually hang out
From time to time. Mm-hmm.
and from time to time, and I've been working on getting her comfortable with it, and now she only eats her food from this stand, not from her actual dish anymore. So,
That's funny.
Perfect.
She really loves it.
Perfect.
So switching gears again, getting kind of, we went down into the deep, challenging places, and now we're lifting things back up. Tell us, Garrus, what are some of your goals and plans for this year?
Now, that's an easy one. That's a real easy one. So I'll talk about streaming, what we're doing right here. In the past, I've been on Twitch for a number of years now, and we had a podcast, myself and Gamer Dad we're running a podcast, and so we kind of stopped, right? We talked about life, and so one of the things, and I put this on a couple of your viewers also. So Insomnia Night has been a big part of this. T-Cat, who you've seen and hear, obviously, T-Cat. She was on here. You guys have interviewed T-Cat. And then a couple of other close friends have been, not so subtly poking and prodding to get me back on. And I made the decision of, you know what? Okay, I'm going to start streaming again. What's the best way to start streaming again? What am I going to stream? Am I going to keep going back to No Man's Sky? I've been doing that since the beginning, right? I already got all of that in there. Mm-hmm. And then I was talking to someone, and we were talking about our Steam libraries. It's a friend who just started on Steam. He was a console player. And so he made a Steam account, and we've been playing some game, Space Marine 2. And he's like, oh yeah, my son gave me these games. I got like 5 games in my library. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, how many do you have? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Let me go take a look. I have 970 some odd games in my Steam library. That does not include what I have still in Humble Bundle, Fanatical, Epic, Xbox, right? My PlayStation. That's just in Steam. And he's like, how do you play all those games? And I was like, son of a gun. I never play. I'm never going to play this. So my challenge and my goal was I am going to play every game in my library on stream in alphabetical order. And it's minimum of 30 minutes gameplay, because I know I have some junk. I've already found it. That's there. And we're going to write a review together with chat of
that's a great idea.
On that game. And then we're going to post it up on Steam. And so we figured out.
And YouTube, you should put it up on YouTube too.
I probably should. Yeah, I should do that. So we started that right before, I had to step away. We kept going last night. I got back on. We're going to do it again tonight. I started playing. I'm up to 7 Days to Die. The number 7 is where we're in the library.
And then my list too. That's funny.
Do you have RimWorld on that list of games?
What's that?
Do you have RimWorld on that list of games?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but it'll be 2045 before he gets to it.
Kings of Cud is on there. RimWorld is on there.
I want to be there for the RimWorld one. That's my new hyperfixation game. I have too many. It's so good.
I know, and I just pulled up my library. Yeah, I have 974 games that I will be playing through. 2 for every single stream, and that's of right now. I can tell you, 2 weeks ago, that number was lower, because one of the questions that was asked by one of my viewers was, "What if somebody gifts you a game? Can they do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you guys can gift me a game, and I will play it the next time. My requirements are." It can't be adult material, right? I try to be family friendly, even though I found out 7 Days to Die is not at all family friendly. No. There's some language in there.
RimWorld.
Yep. So I just, and that's why I was like, I don't want, the sex games. I'm going to say it.
Right.
Yeah.
I do not, if you gift it to me, I will absolutely reject it. And I'm going to talk to you about it because I do not do that. I'll do visual novels, right? That's okay. I'll do, blood, gore. That's, I got to play Call of Duty and a lot of these first person shooters that are in my library, but I draw the line at that type of stuff.
Of course.
And there's a couple of other ones. I found one whose license agreement, because I actually read license agreements. The license agreements was I'm giving them full rights and access with their anti-cheat. It was another one where they're going to go, it's like de novo. It's going to get like root access to my system and they have full access and they can do whatever they want. I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to even bother installing it. It was some janky little nothing game.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, and so I was just given some game. What is it called? I don't even know what it was called. Let me look. Oh wait, library will show me. So that's my goal. That's what I'm going to be working on. Oh yeah, Yes, Your Grace, and Tales of the Black Forest. That somebody actually, these were two people who sent it. Yes, Your Grace, I've heard of. That sounds like a really good one. Tales of the Black Forest, I don't know. It looks like one of those psychological horror games. Just taking a quick look at it. I have no idea, but I got to play it. But so, yeah, that's my goal. I'm going to start it. We're not going to finish it this year. 970 games, 2 per stream, and writing the reviews and posting it. Yes, there's not enough days, right, to be able to get through it. But we're going to go through as many as we can and just go through that. Because why do I have the library? Why do I have it? Steam, or not Steam, Humble, with their monthly, hey, here's 8 more games to your library. I'm about to cancel. Well, I said I'm not including Steam or Humble, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah,
that's got another 100 plus, probably 200 plus waiting there. Can't do it. Can't do it. But that is my goal and plan, and that forces me to play these games, right? And forces me to stream. So I'm kind of knocking 2 things out at the same time.
Sure.
But if we go back to the very beginning with what was the question? What is one of my biggest challenges or struggles this year?
Yeah.
That also helps kick that depression off, right?
Yeah.
Or start to deal with it, because now I've made this commitment, and we talked about, right? If I make a commitment, if I'm going to do it, or I'm going to play it, I have to follow through with it. Stormy, to your point, right? If somebody says they're going to do something, you expect them to do it. That's part of the relationship. And that's my relationship with my chat and the people who come into the channel, even if they don't follow me. I had somebody who came in because I was playing 7 Days to Die, and I put in the title, right? First time playing blind playthrough. And he's like, he had over 5,000 hours playing this game. And I was like, holy cow. That's huge. He's like, oh yeah, you have any questions? Ask me. I'm like, great. I'm like, I'll be playing it probably today. After I talked about this, and I'm like, after this, I'll probably be playing that. And he's like, oh, I might not make it. I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to worry about it. I appreciate you being right. And it's that community building that has to happen with that. You guys do it all the time. I see that when raiders come in, other than when you're playing Stormkeep, right? But when you're playing your video games, Stormy, you pause and you have that conversation. Not just, hey, here's a shout out. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for the raid. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going here. And you take that time and you build a relationship and the friendship with that. And so playing these games is rebuilding, and it's kind of rebuilding that trust with my community that I had, because I stopped streaming this past year. And again, you can see how this is all kind of wrapping up. Sure. But it's rebuilding that trust and telling them, hey, I'm committing back over to you. And I've been open. Everybody, those who have joined the stream, I've told them what I've been going through, because it's not an excuse, but I want you to understand, I know I've messed up.
Yeah.
I'm here to try to fix that. So let's play some games and talk about it. And that's what we do. And you know that you've been on my streams. You know that I will talk and as I'm doing now, talk about whatever topic that chat wants to talk about, or the game, or life.
Yeah.
Right? Life advice from the old man. I should have a segment
Mhm.
called that. But it's about having that and building that back up. So
For sure.
that's my goal and plan, and to finish my module. I'd like to finish that before January 1st.
Right on. Congrats. Let us know how how it goes, because we'll be rooting for you. And
Thank you.
I'm confident that you're gonna make more headway than you thought.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, I will always need play testers. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? As I get to certain areas where I'm like, okay, so I've done this. How's it actually going to work? What are players going to do here? So I'm just saying, I expect that to be coming probably Q3 of this year.
Okay. Perfect. We'll just
If you
we'll
happen
make
to
it
know
happen. Let us
anybody
know.
or any group that would be willing to help out.
Hell yeah. Can't wait.
Anyone,
Don't mind her. She's just got a problem with her shoulder. She's trying to
Stretching.
work out.
Working out that kink in the back, right? I know.
Oh my goodness. What do you want people to know about you?
Let's see. What do I want people to know about me? Well, I'm old. I just hit, I'm not ashamed to say it, I just hit 60 this month. Well, I'm sorry, last month. We're in May now. Last month, I hit 60 years of age. So I'm old. I've got a lot of worthless knowledge, but I also got a lot of life lessons that I'm more than happy to share. I do it obviously here on Twitch. I've had viewers who come in and they're like, if you can go back in time, at the tradition, if you can go back in time and tell yourself, one thing to change when you're in your teens, what would you do? I've had people asking them about, should I buy a car? And we talk finances and relationships, right? Listen to us old people. We might be grumpy and we might ramble on, as you can tell I'm prone to do, but we've lived through some stuff. And what people go through nowadays, we've gone through it. A little different, but in essence, the same thing.
Mhm.
So I spend a lot of time talking. Even if nobody's in chat, I'm still going to be talking. So I talk a lot. I think most people know that. What folks don't know about me is irrelevant. I'm a musician, I guess. I guess that's something that is new and people don't know, and I'm not embarrassed of it. I went to school for music, went through a full program on that. I'm actually a classically trained opera singer.
Oh my God. That makes sense now. Your voice is so wonderful.
That's
I get
why
it.
I have the voice, other than when it starts getting raspy, but that's where the voice comes. I grew up and started at the young age of, I don't know, 8 or 9 doing Italian arias, and have just there's something there. How about a fun fact about Geras?
That's
so
incredible.
cool.
That's wonderful.
And I fly airplanes.
Oh yeah, and by
Minor
the way, I
detail.
also fly airplanes. No big deal.
Just, yeah.
It's fine.
That's
Yeah,
pretty epic.
nothing big. But yeah, no. So listen, yeah, the biggest thing, all right, to know about me and Stormy, and look, even people as young as Druid, because we've all gone through these experiences. Talk
Yeah.
to them, right? Just talk to us. You might be like, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. Yeah, we do. We lived through it, right?
Mhm.
Everything. You could ignore us. That's okay. But
Hey,
we've gone through it.
I always tell people you don't gotta listen to me.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing
You
that
don't
you got to
gotta.
listen to her about right
Unless
now,
it
and
comes
that's
to
that
coffee,
she's
and then yeah.
I was going to say, she's about to say that you guys need to go to this link that she's going to share, and you guys better follow and support and go check out his stream tonight. And when he streams in the future, we're so glad that you're coming back, and our heart is with you with what you've been through, and we are honored that you. To know you and to be friends with you, and the world is a better place because you're in it, Garris.
I think the world is a better place because we're all in it.
That's true too.
It's one person doesn't make the world a better place, but a group of us help improve it for the rest of the people around us. Right? And that should grow as we positively impact those that are around us. Our chat, our people who are there, right? We should be lifting them up and empowering them, right? By setting that example and having them see how we handle it, how we react, so that they can also do that. And then their friends can see them do that, right? And it's that, we learn it in it's a business technique, right? Lead by example. Right. It's not, you might be a CEO of a company or a CTO or CIO, any C-level executive, but unless you're down there flipping burgers with the folks that are working at your local McDonald's, right? You have to set that example. I worked for a company that believes in that fully. And I'm not going to say who they are. They're a pizza company. Largest in the world, that every hire that they bring in, everyone, it doesn't matter what their level is. It is CIO all the way down to their people who are facilities. They have a built-in pizza store there, and they require everybody to work there 1 week when they start working there. And during that week of the month, they tell every office, place your orders there as if you were at home. Everything is free. You can place your regular orders there. And so it's to make sure that the people understand what those who are at the restaurants are going through, right? And if they mess up the pizza, you're encouraged to call and complain about the pizza. If it's not made right, or if it's undercooked, if it's overcooked, treat it as if it's a real store. And that way everybody knows, hey, what I do is important. And I want everyone to know that I know what they go through, so they can see me doing it so that they can do it better. And right, we have that relationship. And then the next group's going to come in and they can see, hey, you also did it. I'm going to do it that way. And I'm going to do it that way. And we continue to improve, and that growth continues outward. Starts with one person, and then just you build this circle around you, build them up, and they're going to build a circle around them and build them up. And it continues exponentially. That's what we should be aiming for. And that's what we should be focused on doing. So I love you guys, right? And thank you for saying, right, what you think of me, but it's about us and what we do and how we need to help bring those around us up, which, Stormy, I know you do. You have an incredible group around you of fellow streamers that you help lift up, which is exactly what it's about. It's not just, oh, we're building a network up and right, and I'm in charge, and then right, here's a hierarchy. It's not about that.
No.
Everybody, right? Everyone is all together and going through it and supporting each other. That's what we have to do in life. That's 100% what we should be doing in life.
100%. 100%. Completely agree.
Now see that?
Rising
There goes
tides
the old man talking
lift
again.
Rising tides lift.
On that
all
note, we
ships.
have about 15 minutes left. We'd like to get some questions from the audience. It can be questions to OldManGeras or to all of us.
I have a question for Garris.
Druid has a question that she's going to kick us off with.
I am. Sir,
Yes.
when you come out to Seattle, how long are those trips?
So I get to spend time with the fine folks over at Redmond quite frequently. They're usually about somewhere between 3 to a week long on there, and I get the flexibility of
Going out to eat dinner
determining.
maybe
I
one of
would
these,
love
like,
to.
okay, so just let
I'd
me
love
know.
to.
We
I
would
will.
make that trip. We'll make.
Oh,
I will do it, and then I will
I
brag to everyone.
I will definitely have the conversation with you when I'm in your neck of the woods.
That's all. Okay, now chat is. We're gonna now
Yeah,
open up
I
the
gotta
floor to
admit, like,
chat.
it almost makes me want to move there just so we can get together with him.
Well, I mean, I would love. We'll have a separate conversation off.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Okay,
We'll
yeah,
talk.
all
We'll
three of
talk.
us can have a
And
separate conversation.
Yeah, maybe that, and also one day maybe we can all make TwitchCon or something. You know, that's another way we can.
That's kind of where I was going to go, except maybe a StormyCon. I mean, I'm just saying, not
StormCon.
StormCon.
Listen. We've mentioned it. This is what we're gonna
have
do.
you?
Okay, we've talked it. We've brainstormed. This is what's gonna happen. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna find like a huge Airbnb outside of TwitchCon, and then just never go to TwitchCon and just have so much fun outside of TwitchCon, and then we'll brag to everyone that we had StormCon and it was cooler than TwitchCon. Okay? The amount of people that are like, yes, tell me when.
You guys honor me. Thank you. Making me blush. So I'm going to bring up, while we're waiting, come on, folks in chat, ask some interesting questions for us. But while we're waiting for them, when we were getting started before the stream, we were talking about favorite movies, and I find it amazing and hilarious that you and I have the same top two movies. And for reference, you guys, both he and I, our first favorite movie for the longest time was Excalibur from 1981. And I've said that on stream before, until The Matrix came out, in which case it became my favorite and Excalibur became my second favorite. And apparently that's the same thing for Geras. I had no idea, even though we've talked twice, like, we had him on Bandwidth and Banter. We had him on the Legacy of Lore Masters Bandwidth and Banter. And now we've got him returned. And I'm glad we finally got to do this again. But I just find it amazing and ironic and not ironic, but coincidental, but synergistic as well, that we have some of this very, very similar tastes. I love Star Trek as well. What do you love most about Star Trek?
The promise of really growing, right? The interesting thing about Star Trek, and by the way, before I go into Star Trek, because I know that can be a rabbit hole, we did differ on movie number 3, though, in our top 3 favorite movies. So our top 2 were the same, but 3, I know I told you what my number 3 was, which was Tron.
Yeah.
And the Tron series. But I don't think you got to say what your number 3 was.
Yeah, my number 3 was Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, that's right, Conan. Yeah, because we talked. It came out right after Excalibur, or was it before? No, it was right after Excalibur, because it was also 1980. Was it 81 or 82?
That's a good question. Let's see what Google has to say. I think it was 82.
But yeah, it was right around that. That's right. I remember now. It was Conan.
82. You were right. Good memory.
So what do I love about Star Trek?
Yeah.
The promise of not just exploring, but being able to improve and build that relationships up, and that helps grow the Federation or Earth out there, because it's not just go out there and conquer, which we easily could have done on a number of races out there, but work on the relationship. From the series side, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the original series over Next Generation, because that's what I grew up with. the ability for every episode to deal with a social issue and have that as part of the story that Gene Roddenberry was telling was something that, back in the day, some shows did it. All in the Family, if anyone has ever heard of that, they were big on addressing social issues that were happening in the world around them. Believe it or not, things like Odd Couple, some of these comedies that were out there still brought these topics up as part of the stories to address it. But Star Trek did it every single week.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of firsts as part of that. Gene Roddenberry's vision was very clear in that he wanted to call out, here's things that are wrong in our world and in our society. How did we fix it, or how does it still exist? Right. And making sure it was there for people to talk about. It wasn't just a show like Space 1999, which I love, that was, hey, we were taking our nuclear waste, putting it up on the moon. It exploded, and the moon is now hurtling through space, and we're just trying to get back home. I guess that's also kind of Battlestar Galactica. We're just trying to get back to Earth.
Yeah.
But instead, it was, here's a problem that we have, or here's a taboo, right? Uhura's kiss with Kirk was the first interracial kiss on television. That was Star Trek. Yep. Dealing with racism was something that was brought up a lot. Inequality between groups and nations. We saw episodes where there's two continents that are on a planet that are at war with each other, but instead of sending soldiers, they just let AI run, computer programs run, and determine, oh, well, that would have been a strike in this. Everybody who's living there, you need to go into the suicide chambers and kill yourself. And how do you deal with that, right? And breaking through those. And the story was always, well, humanity went through that. Here's how we dealt with it, or here's how we should deal with it. And giving that hope of, as we expand and explore, using our past experiences to help get us to the next step, or help someone else that's also going through that to get to the next step.
Indeed. I loved the optimism of Star Trek. Yep.
Yeah. And we lost it a bit in Next Generation. And then Deep Space Nine, which is, I mean, it's tied for number one for me with the original series, because Cisco was incredible. I mean, the writing was phenomenal in that series.
Agreed. Deep Space Nine was by far the best produced Star Trek series of them all, just because it was a contiguous story that had a beginning and an end, and everything wrapped up, and all the characters were so rich and in depth, and it delved into their relationships in a way that was only kind of touched upon on previous Star Treks. Yeah.
And it still dealt with social issues.
Yeah.
At the exact same time, right?
Yep.
Quark and the Ferengis, and the relationship that everyone had with the Ferengis. And I mean, one of my favorite characters, Quark, on there. But go ahead. You were going to ask a question.
I was going to say we have 9 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rapid fire these questions, and we're going to try and rapid fire answer them. Okay. This first one is, what is your favorite book growing up? I think that should be a quick answer from all three of us.
Okay. I'll let you guys go first.
The Warriors Cat series books.
Mine is okay. Mine is tied for. I got two books that are tied for first place. One is a super simple book you can read in an hour, probably. Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. And my second is Tertium Organum by P.D. Ouspensky, a mathematician. I promise you, it'll take you a year to read it, and you'll probably need to reread it. So,
wow, favorite books. That's a hard one for me, because I was author based, and Stephen King was my author of choice back then. I read everything that Stephen King put out. I had his entire library, all first edition hardcovers. I made sure that I always pick those up.
Mm-hmm.
Starting, man, was that in the 70s with Carrie? Say early 80s? No, I think he started writing in the late 70s with Carrie.
And then another book that I also recommend a lot to people is The Buried Giant by Ken. I'll post a picture. I'm going to butcher the name and I'm going to feel really bad, but 10 out of 10. It's a book about grief. So,
cool.
And dealing with loss. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. It's called The Buried Giant. Very good.
Druid, ask Bubba's question real quick.
Okay. Which one? Oh, what's your favorite game? What's your favorite? Oh my goodness. What is your favorite go-to chill game? Not say that sentence. Just save my life.
Oh, that's easy. Stardew Valley. Next question. I mean, if that's not the default answer for everybody, then you haven't played Stardew Valley.
It's true. I haven't played it. That's not my default answer. I would have to say, for me, it's a very recent one. I played it for the last couple of years.
It's got to be a D&D based game, right?
Oh, what?
It's got to be a D&D based game. Like
not exactly, but it is a turn-based strategy tactical game called Urtuk.
You have been playing the heck out of Urtuk lately. I've seen you doing that. I was like, hey, that looks good.
Yeah, like its UI needs some work. Its menu system in its inventory management is really awful, but the tactical turn-based aspects of it are incredible. It's really, really good. So next question we have is, question by Grim Grixis. How difficult would it be for you to fly a small biplane and while doing a loop-de-loop in the air, sing the most difficult opera you know, fighting against the G-force of the loop-de-loop, of course?
Okay, so, singing the most difficult opera that I know, I would, so the biplane on a loop isn't difficult. It's right after we hit peak and are starting to come down, where the pressure is going to be on the lungs. That would be a little bit difficult. I would probably go a little bit flat on some of the notes on there, but it can be done.
That's a hilarious and interesting question, by the way. I'm impressed.
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm,
which I think, who was that asked that? Was that
Grim Grixis?
I saw a question earlier that Grim Grixis asked, which was, can you fly a plane and sing an opera? And the answer, or have I? The answer is yes. I have done that quite frequently, including a time where I forgot to turn off my mic and ATC was like, are you okay there? I'm like, oh, sorry about that.
Just big chillin'.
And the last question, Druid, you get to ask. I think it's another bubble question, and I think it's perfect for us to wrap this episode.
I love you, Bubba. I love you so much. Anyways, Bubba Lone Wolf 31, streamer of Stormkeep, asks, what question? What weapon would you pick for a zombie apocalypse?
Is there? Oh, it's just which weapon? I would pick. I would pick a glaive because all you got to do is either chop off or slice off their heads or chop off their knees so you can run faster than them. You're not going to run out of ammo. Easy to sharpen. Yeah, right, glaive.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like a multi-tool. Like,
Druid?
I guess glaive-like, where it would be like I could attach a machete to the end of a stick. So then I can also take the machete off and use it as a tool for other stuff, but then it would be a weapon that could give me distance.
Pretty clever.
Because I'm also trying to think of like, you got to survive, you got to build stuff, you got to do, like, it's not just killing zombies.
You have the world around you still. So you're literally just killing the zombies and then just like, all right, I cleared this house. I'm going to go inside this house.
Eventually, you might have to go into the woods. You never know.
True.
I live in Sasquatch country. So we are always just like, gotta go into the woods and hide and protect yourself. That's what I've been ingrained with.
It's true.
You know what?
You should have those skills.
My weapon of choice in a zombie apocalypse would be you two in front of me.
Remember, you don't have to be the fastest. You just have to be faster than the slowest person.
All right. Guys, OldManGeras is one of our favorite human beings on Twitch, and he's right. We got to lift each other up, and that's what we're here for. And so please go check him out and support his return. And we're so not only has he returned to Twitch, to Bandwidth and Banter, but he's returned to Twitch after a hiatus, an understandable one. And
a much needed one.
yeah. So enjoy his gaming tonight. Let's see how quickly he can make it through his A to Z list of 900 plus games.
I want you to at least make it to RimWorld. That's my goal.
And then I'm going to fall down that cave of, oh my God, I got to keep going. I can't stop.
One more
my dwarves, no.
year or turn or whatever. I don't know. I haven't played the game. I'll have to try it sometime. With that, thank you, OldManGeras, for being here. It's been an honor and a pleasure and a privilege.
It's all on this side. Thank you so much for having me here. As always, I love the two of you.
Love you.
Oh my gosh. Every time we talk to Garrus, the time just zooms by. It's just suddenly gone.
Zooms by.
My gosh. Guys, thank you all for joining us today. This has been fantastic. It's been the highlight of the week. So talking about next week, we have a new guest on the show. This will be first time. So we've had folks from lots of different European countries, folks from all over the United States on Bandwidth and Banter. This is our first time from this particular time zone, the Australian time zone. We're going to have Minx Odysseia on, who is an Australian streamer. I happen to find her because of you guys, because frequently I'll be lurking in your channels late into the night, and then I go to bed and leave it lurked on your channel, and somehow or another, multiple times, and I mean constantly, I would end up in Minx Odysseia's channels. In the morning, I'd look and find myself in her channel, and I got to watch it, and she's a really interesting and amazing person. So can't wait to get to know her better. That's all I got. You got something else to add there, Miss Druid Lady?
I love you guys.
Indeed. Oh, and one last thing. It was so much fun, Druid, hanging out with you and Fate IRL over the weekend. I'm going to try and find some time this week to share pictures and videos.
You know what's so funny is I looked back, I took all of 4 pictures. Everything else, I was just kind of like...
We were just having so much fun that we just didn't even think about it. Yep.
And I just completely forgot that pictures existed. So 4 whole whopping pictures. And I only took them because I thought it was funny that everybody at the table was looking at their phone. So I was like, that picture.
Clever girl.
That was the only reason.
All right. Thank you, guys. We're ready to do this wrap up?
Yeah.
Here we go. Thank you for coming to the show.
Please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below.
And if you're listening to the podcast,
please rate and review the episode.
We are Bandwidth
and Banter.
Thank you.
And good night.